Hello there and welcome to this episode of What's Next. Today I'll be covering for Johanan Kotia as he figures out what's next for him. He'll certainly be back soon. However, the focus is the Tourism Expo, 3 to 5 November. It's no secret, Namibia is the only place where the desert meets the sea. There is so much wildlife and much to understand and experience in the tourism industry, which is why it's important when the government is a part of it. Let's have a look at the speech by Honorable Minister Pohamba Shifeta as we focus on the upcoming Tourism Expo, 3 to 5 November.
A very warm good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, viewers. I'm Matthias Ofiku, news editor of the Namibian Sun newspaper. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Evening Review Show. Well, tonight we discuss tourism matters. Of course, one of the biggest contributors to the country's kitty. We know the Namibia Media Holdings Tourism Expo is coming up next month from the 3rd to the 5th of November. Therefore, we join in studio tonight by the Minister of Environment, Tourism and Forestry, Honorable Pohamba Shifeta. Good morning, good evening and welcome, sir.
Good evening and thank you for having me here.
No, it's a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
Well, the Expo is back, one of the biggest events on the tourism calendar of the country. What are your expectations and what do you foresee taking place there?
First, let me thank NMH for once again co-hosting this event. This event is very important in our year calendar for the ministry and for the entire country. Mm-hmm. We expect that this year will be much better than the past 2 years, mm-hmm, when we had COVID pandemic. Mm-hmm. So this time, having many tourists coming, and also, without restrictions, mm-hmm, we will expect more exhibitors and more visitors to the event.
Yeah. Well, many people see this type of events just as a marketing and showcasing event. What does it really do to the domestic tourism industry?
This event is very important. Tourism is one of our very biggest contributors to our GDP, mm-hmm, and we need to promote tourism. We need to have all the local players, mm-hmm, showcasing their goods and services and products at that event. Mm-hmm. So the exhibitors, they will come there and of course face to face with the clients, mm-hmm, and that is what we intend to do.
Yeah. So following the height of the pandemic, your ministry has spearheaded the tourism revival plan. How has that gone, and what do events such as this do to embolden that plan?
A tourism revival plan has worked, and we appreciate the support from the industry, mm-hmm, and also the support from other role players. That currently we're talking about many visitors coming to Namibia, tourists coming to Namibia, and we expected the number to go up than before, because the numbers we are looking at, the target is that if we get 800 to 1 million, mm-hmm, if it's over 1 million, then it's a bonus. Yeah. So we really want the numbers to go up, and getting now that the quarter report gives an indication that there is very much a upward trajectory in the tourism arrivals in Namibia.
Yeah, you of course highlighted in the past the need for tourism establishments also to cater for the local market and not just the international market, to really harness this resource that we have in terms of what nature has to offer. What do you expect events such as the Expo to really address in that? Because perhaps some people just think it's an international expo that's taking place and it's not for the locals.
Yeah, we try to get in the local flavor, mm-hmm, inviting local communities to be part of that, sponsor some of the activities for the local communities, our conservancies, mm-hmm, our local concessionaires like that's now those tourism industry, mm-hmm, so that they can also participate, not only the private sector, yeah, but also our conservancies and those who have concessions in, mm-hmm, tourism.
I want you to touch on the issue of, there seems to be this notion that the private sector is more driven as far as marketing the country's tourism potential is concerned. But what is your take on this? And I know you've highlighted the government does a lot also to put the country out there. What is your take on that?
We have a national, Namibia Tourism Board, which is a marketing body under the ministry. It does the marketing of the country, and this is what they do. Mm-hmm. Of course, the private sector on their own can also do that, because what the Namibia Tourism Board does is that they create markets outside. They create markets, and then for the private, they have now to roll this to their own facilities. Mm-hmm. But the tourism board, that is their responsibility to market Namibia. Yeah. And also to invent some of the new markets. We have those markets that we have, for instance, in Europe, some areas, but they also have to go and get the new market.
Mm-hmm. What do you see as some of the medium-term challenges that could perhaps derail our plans as far as ensuring that our industry grows?
Yeah, there are some, the tourism industry is a very sensitive industry. Anything small or big can also derail tourism itself. And it happened when we had this COVID. Mm-hmm. It started as a joke, and eventually the whole market was shut down. Yeah. So anything can happen. That's why it's very sensitive, and as role players in this industry, we must be careful. Whatever we do, we must be careful and ensure that it remains with that trajectory upward.
Yeah. Well, Minister, just lastly, with the expo coming up, what is your message to exhibitors, members of the public? What would you like to tell them just before we wrap up tonight?
This is our one of the very events that we always have on our year calendar. Yeah. And I want to invite the public to come and see and also meet these exhibitors who are there to showcase their goods and products and services. So it's good to come and see for yourself, and of course to the Namibians, because now I'm happy that the local tourism was picking up, especially during the 2 years COVID, when the prevalence of COVID. Mm-hmm. Our local people, they opted to go to our facilities, mm-hmm. and I should continue doing that. And now that we have this exhibition, tourism exhibition, they can come there and they get more information. Yeah. Because we do not know Namibia.
Many thanks to the Honorable Minister for sharing that important message. Now, it's one thing to have a beautiful home such as Namibia where people would like to visit for tourism. However, we do have to take care of the land that we live in and, of course, keeping in mind climate change. So next up, we look at sustainable tourism in Namibia.
sense of place, of wonder, and the slow march of time. Evolution revealed in a land of extremes, a country of possibilities, Namibia. In the blink of a geological eye, our world has been transformed from a lonely planet into a hive of activity. With over 1 million visitors to Namibia each year, tourism has an enormous impact on our land, cultures, economy, and resources. To be sustainable, tourism development must meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs and aspirations. By adapting, evolving, and constantly improving, Namibia is setting high standards in sustainable tourism. As we strive for perfection, there is no better example than Mother Nature. Development that reuses and recycles reduces our environmental footprint and adds to an interesting array of lodges in our country. Mimicking the colors, textures, and patterns of the landscape, we build our lodges in harmony with the land. Almost half of Namibia's land is under conservation management, and tourism is doing its part in protecting and restoring ecosystems. Namibia's conservancies are a critical part of this protection. 1 in 4 rural Namibians is part of a conservancy, and conservancies cover almost 20% of land in the country. This land provides additional space for wildlife, protecting migration routes, and allowing for animals to be reintroduced in their traditional habitat. These efforts enhance the visitor's experience while helping to restore the integrity of our biodiversity. In a country that has sunshine 365 days a year, Namibians harness the power of the sun. Clean, quiet energy that is truly at home in the wild. But as a desert country, we are also careful to limit water consumption and invest in recycling water. Being sensitive to the environment includes introducing tourist activities that are compatible with the land, contribute to conservation and education, and are sensitive to Namibia's rich cultural heritage. Another strong indicator of the success and sustainability of tourism in Namibia is measured by the involvement of rural Namibians in tourism. Our country is a global leader in the field of community-based tourism. There are more than 50 joint venture lodges and community campsites in Namibia, where the best of traditional and modern techniques are blended. These strong public-private partnerships are helping to create the next generation of tourism entrepreneurs and guardians of our natural resources. Namibia's approach to sustainable tourism has delivered positive, dramatic results, celebrating cultural diversity, contributing to the rural economy, and providing visitors with an authentic African experience. This is sustainable tourism. This is Namibia.
Do you remember this face? Yes, that's Queen Peter, the winner of our What's Next challenge, and she knows quite a bit about sustainable tourism. Have a look.
I am Queen Peter, the winner of the NTV What's Next Presenter Search Competition. I'm also the presenter of Smile the Coffee that airs on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 94 every morning at 8 o'clock. So please do tune in and join me as I will be enjoying a freshly brewed coffee. Now today we are discussing all things sustainable tourism, and on your mind you might be asking yourself, what is sustainable tourism? That is why I am here. Now sustainable tourism is tourism that is economically viable and do not destroy the resources that tourism depend on, whether it's now currently or in the future. Now sustainable tourism also takes full account of the environmental, the social and the economic impacts it has on the country. Now how is Namibia nailing this thing called sustainable tourism? Namibia is the very first African country that has incorporated the protection of the environment in its constitution. Namibia is also taking the leading role in safe travels, and the cultural experience is very relaxed and rich in knowledge and wisdom. Now, how can you know more about sustainable tourism and what to expect when you come to Namibia? And whilst you are in Namibia, you can join us at the upcoming Tourism Expo that is going to be from the 3rd to the 5th of November. So please do come along and join us at the Tourism Expo so that you can learn more about your Namibia, so that whenever you talk to people, you can tell people, my Namibia. Please make sure that you join us at the upcoming Tourism Expo, where you will learn more about Namibia, the different cultures, and where you can travel to. Thank you.
We realized the need for income diversification even prior to COVID. I think COVID just emphasized the need to actually do something about it. And one of the ways that we have tried to do that is through wildlife credits, which is the form of payments for ecosystem services that we're piloting here in Namibia, where we're trying to drive benefits straight to the stewards on the ground based on conservation performances and verified evidence of that. So conservancies are getting paid or rewarded or incentivized through different wildlife credits. Wildlife credits has different products. One of them that I can mention is the Wildlife Corridor product, where we helping conservancies conserve their wildlife corridors. They show evidence of that through 3 forms right now. One is existence of the corridor by keeping the corridor as it is intact. 2 is that the wildlife is using it, and 3 that they're monitoring. So once they can show evidence of this, then they get a reward from wildlife credits. The other product is a wildlife sightings product, where we have partnered with conservancies and their joint venture partners. And when they go out with a tourist on game drives and sight different species like elephants, lions, we're looking at iconic species or species that come to or at a cost, or endangered species. And so through these game drives and the site, the lodge itself puts a small token to show that this is actually an actual sighting, and then the wildlife credits matches that fund further 10 times. With the restrictions from COVID, we have experienced very limited income that was going into conservancies. Conservancies make income mainly from conservation hunting as well as tourism, so it's their main source of income. And it's important not only the fact that it brings in the income, but the use of the income for benefit distribution. Wildlife credits provides an incentive to conserve now and for the future.
Now, what I love about sustainable tourism is that it gives you the real feeling of a place, because historically people lived sustainably and in harmony with nature. That brings us to the end of this episode of What's Next. Remember, the Tourism Expo happens from 3 to 5 November at SKW, and you can get your tickets at etickets.my.na. That's etickets.my.na. My name is Ashwin Berry, and if you're wondering what's going on, don't look no further, because we always know what's next.